I'm not a lawyer, but the prosecutors in Diddy's federal trial have now officially wrapped up their side of the case. So here's how the final day of testimony played out. The Homeland Security agent took the stand once again, this time for cross-examination, and attorney Tenny Garagos used that opportunity to make a few points. First off, he had the agent read out messages from Jane where she appeared to be enjoying the company of certain entertainers and even made plans to meet them again. For example, in a message from December 2021, Jane texted an entertainer named Sly saying she was having flashbacks from their recent hotel night and asked him to send her something. She even asked if he could fly out to see her that day or the next. Then another exchange was shown where Diddy told Jane he was having some wild fantasies involving her and Leo. Jane replied saying that while she was okay with some things, she really just wanted Diddy to herself. Next, the defense highlighted messages between Diddy and Jane that suggested they were actively keeping their hotel nights hidden from Diddy's staff. In one message, Jane told an entertainer named Paul to hold off until the butlers were done. In another, Diddy told Paul to wait until the staff had cleared out. The defense used these messages to challenge the RICO charge and argue that Diddy's staff wasn't in on anything illegal. There was even a message where Jane told Paul to come in only once the coast is clear, and another where she told someone to wait until everyone outside had left. The attorney then had the agent review some flirty messages Jane sent Diddy in September 2023. In one, she said, "I love being spicy for you. I love driving you wild." In another, she told an entertainer, "Tonight was amazing, per usual." Then came a section about travel payments. If you remember, the prosecution spent time earlier detailing how travel was paid for. During cross, the defense brought up records from September and November 2023 that showed Diddy allegedly used his personal account to cover travel expenses for Jane and various entertainers. After that, the cross-examination wrapped. The prosecutors did a short redirect, and the agent was excused from the stand. At that point, the government officially rested its case. Now, this next part is pretty standard in trials. Once prosecutors rest, the defense usually files what's called a Rule 29 motion. That's basically the defense telling the judge that the prosecution didn't meet its burden of proof and asking for an acquittal before the case even goes to the jury. And while these motions happen in almost every trial, they're rarely granted. Still, Diddy's legal team made the motion and laid out their reasons. Starting with the RICO charge, they argued that prosecutors didn't actually show who Diddy conspired with to commit any crimes. At most, they claimed the government only presented weak evidence suggesting Diddy had employees who got small amounts of drugs for his own personal use, not for distribution. As for any supposed conspiracy with his chief of staff, KK, the defense said there was no solid proof of any actual agreement between the two. At best, KK might have been aware of the drug use, but again, they stressed that it was personal, not part of some criminal network. The attorney also brought up messages shown during the trial that ... The defense pointed out that Diddy sometimes lied to KK about what he was doing. And according to them, that's not how co-conspirators usually operate. When it came to the staff, the defense argued that Diddy and the women actually made efforts to hide things from them. And from what the staff did know, none of them believed the women were in danger or being trafficked. Then the defense moved on to push back against some of the predicate acts listed under the RICO charge. First up, the bribery claim. The attorney said that the payment for the Intercontinental Hotel video was to avoid bad press, not to bribe anyone. They pointed out that no law enforcement was ever involved, and both Diddy and Cassie didn't want that footage out there. Next, on the obstruction of justice allegation, this centers on Troke calling Mia, and later Diddy reaching out to her. Mia testified that she threw her phone and ran when she saw Diddy's name pop up. But the defense claims Troke was only trying to get her to talk, not threatening her in any way. Then came the kidnapping charge, which involves Capricorn Clark. The defense said she went to the lie detector test site willingly, every day, because she wanted to prove she hadn't stolen any jewelry. As for arson, the defense said flat out, there's no evidence linking Diddy to that incident, period. Moving to charge number 2, which is trafficking involving Cassie, the defense argued the prosecution failed to show that Diddy knowingly forced her into anything. They didn't present a single message or piece of evidence showing that Cassie didn't want to participate in the activities described. The defense did admit that their relationship was toxic and said Diddy was, quote, regrettably violent at times, but argued that domestic violence is not the same as trafficking. And they claimed there's no proof Cassie engaged in anything solely because of violence. On to charge number 4. Related to Jane, the defense claimed Jane's Involvement was motivated by financial benefit, including payments connected to her housing. So in their view, that doesn't count as trafficking. They also pushed back on the idea that Diddy used fraud to traffic Jane, calling that accusation vague and arguing that everything he promised her she got. The dinners, the gifts, even the trip to Turks and Caicos. After wrapping up the motion arguments, the judge said he would hold off on a ruling, then asked Diddy if he intended to testify. Diddy responded by saying he thought he'd done a great job and then confirmed that he would not be taking the stand. Just so we're clear, it's very normal for defendants not to testify in their own trials. Once that was settled, the defense officially began presenting their case, which only involved submitting exhibits, with no witnesses taking the stand. The first exhibit was a message Cassie sent Diddy in December 2012, where she told him she was the luckiest woman alive, that she needed to treat her pop better, and if she didn't, he could leave her, though she bet that wouldn't happen. She also told him she was down for whatever and apologized for being mean. Then came messages from spring 2017 where Diddy asked Cassie if she could do an FO without being intoxicated. Cassie replied, "Yeah, I'll just have to be at my level and what's good for me." A month later, Diddy asked her what she planned to do, and she replied, "Be your little freak." After that, the defense introduced some stipulations, basically agreed upon facts between both sides. One was about Don Richard, who met with the government 7 times. The agreement stated that in 4 of those meetings, she never claimed. Diddy said that where he comes from, people go missing for talking. Another stipulation involved Brianna Botwillon, the witness who spoke about the balcony incident. The agreed fact was that she never told prosecutors that Diddy threatened her life during a photo shoot, and with that, the defense officially rested their case. Now, jurors will stay home tomorrow while the judge and attorneys hold a charge conference, where they'll go over what instructions to give the jury. Closing arguments are expected to begin on Thursday, and as of now, jury deliberations are projected to start Monday. And from that point, we wait.